So today we're going to talk about how I got here into tech and software engineering. I grew up in Nines and I went to a good school. But the thing about Nines is that some parts of our curriculum was just so backward. It's actually embarrassing. So to be fair to them, we did some form of coding. We did this thing called BASIC. BASIC stands for Beginners All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code. But let me paint you a picture. It was intro week first year. Everybody was talking about the programming languages they knew. Some people were like, oh, I've done JavaScript. Some people were like, oh, I've done Python. I've done this, I've done that. So when it got to my turn and people asked me, oh, like, what do you do? What have you learned any programming languages? I was like, yeah, I know BASIC. And they were like, basic what? I was like, basic, like just basic. They were like, they don't know what that is. I was like, how don't these guys know what BASIC is? We learned it in secondary school. It has to be a program. It's a programming language. I know what I'm saying. That's when I found out that that programming language is basically extinct. Like that was the programming languages Vikings used to conquer the world. Like that's some archaic stuff they were teaching. So it just shows you like how far behind your environment can put you. But like I remember just thinking to myself, more like it's going to be a long ride. Like that was always in my head, like we have a long way to go. Anyways, I studied mechatronics and robotics at the University of Sheffield. And after my first year in uni, I started applying to jobs. I wanted to know what it felt like. I wanted to get an internship. And this was the first step I took into like the real world. That's when I started understanding what actual job hunting and job markets was like. Firstly, I could hardly find any mechatronic and robotic engineering jobs. Like they were just hardly any jobs that were in my course. Even the jobs I could find were either insanely competitive or the requirements were just outrageous. So I was like, okay, if I can't get a mechatronic and robotic engineering job, there's other fields. So I started looking at other engineering roles, mechanical, electrical, anything really. And I think the best thing about my course in particular is that we did a little bit of everything. Although we weren't deep in any particular one and we didn't really understand anything, if I'm being honest, but we kind of knew enough to hold conversations at interviews for people to think, okay, maybe this guy knows what's going on. Do you get? But yeah, I applied to like 1,000 of these engineering roles. So after I banged my first 2 engineering interviews, I was like, okay, I need to widen my search because things are not looking good. Even this engineering, we have to look beyond it. So I started looking into finance, tech, consulting, anything. I was literally like, I want a job, an internship, whatever it is, I'll take it. Then I found IBM where I eventually did my internship. But at that time I had so little coding experience. Like the only coding experience we had was C and C++ we did in uni. And to be honest, it was very low level like machine. It wasn't related to anything I was doing at IBM. And even the C++, because of COVID, we didn't get assessed on that module. So I didn't even really have any incentive to learn it. So I was just freestyling it. So I started doing some online courses on JavaScript and Python to get my technical skills to some level. So when I got the offer from IBM, I think what was really amusing to me was that, first of all, I had hardly any relevant experience. And secondly, I wasn't really from a tech background. There were so many students there who were studying software engineering and computer science. So I felt like I had that imposter syndrome already. I think the one thing that made me stand out, if I'm being honest, is the fact that I was so eager to learn. I was showing them that, you know what, I may not have all these skills you need right now, but as you can see, in my own personal time, I've tried to learn these skills by myself. If they told me there was any software I needed to learn, I'd show them that I was more than happy to learn it. Honestly, if you're applying to tech roles and you don't really think you have enough technical skill, don't be afraid to tell them that you're more than happy to learn. Show them that eagerness that you are willing to put in the time and effort. And I'm sure, in my experience at least, a lot of companies are willing to take you on, especially if it's early careers and internships. But to be fair, I also did really well, in my opinion, in like the assessment centers and interviews. So that kind of also helps if you don't really have those technical skills, but you can show that you work well in teams, you're good at communicating. Things like that also boost you up. So that can make up for your lack of technical skills. Anyways, I got the job at IBM, like I said, and I worked there for about a year and everything was going really well. So basically at IBM, there's 3 levels to your performance. The lowest level is expects more. Expects more basically means you're not doing enough. You need to up your game. The second level is achieves. Achieve basically means that, okay, you're doing everything we expect. So like, that's all right. And then the highest level you can get is exceeds. That's when you do even more than they expect you to do, which is what you want to aim for. So personally, like 70 to 80% of all my reviews were exceeds. So I was getting really good feedback. My managers absolutely loved me. I was doing good work and I was really enjoying the work at IBM. But then at the end of the placement, I didn't get the return offer for the grad role. When I tell you guys I was I was shook. Like I haven't experienced that feeling in a while. It took me like 3 days to process what was going on. I literally was just stunned. I couldn't think. I was like, okay, calm. You know what? It is what it is. The only thing I can think of right now is to work. Like I just need to put in effort. I just need to grind. Whatever it is, I just need to grind. So I signed up for another online course in JavaScript and React. And I was like, I'm going to grind this thing till I don't. So I just stayed working on it. I wasn't replying messages. I wasn't answering any. For like a week, I was like, you know what? I don't want to ever feel what I'm feeling right now. Like that rejection hit me so hard that it literally reset my whole view of myself. Because I felt like I was doing so well and I was getting feedback saying I was doing so well. So when you then get that shock, it literally just destabilizes you. So that's why I felt, and I was like, you know, my only coping mechanism is just to work so hard that I'd never put myself in this situation again. And that's what I did. So I grinded like that for a few weeks and then I did my CV again and I just started applying. By the way, this is like September, so I'm about to start my final year. And the last thing I want is to start my final year and still be applying for jobs. Because all this while in my head, I'm like, I have this IBM job in the bag because like I said, my reviews were good. So I was like, this is secure. Like any job I get after this, I'm only going to go for it if it's a better offer. Like I wasn't even thinking about applying for jobs like that. It was something that was on the back burner. So I was like, okay, I'll start again. I started applying for jobs and I applied to 2 jobs. They were both fintech. So the first company replied to me really quickly and I was able to get through their interviews and everything within like a week or two. So I got the offer after like 2 weeks. So that really just helped me settle because I was like, okay, I'm done with this. So I didn't even continue my application with the second company. And it was such a good offer that I was like, you know what, like I'm actually, alhamdulillah, I'm good with this. Like this is nice. And legit, that's how I got my graduate sorted. And that's the job I'm going to be starting this week. But honestly, I think one of the most important things that helped me through that period was also the fact that my friends were also applying for jobs at that time. So we're all like helping each other with preparation and stuff like that. So that really just eased that pressure from me because honestly, if I was to go through that phase on my ones, I would have just lost it because that rejection really shook me. I can't even lie to you. But what I want you to take away from this video is that there's really only one thing you can control, which is you. The best thing you can do is to do your best. The outcome you can't control. So if you do your best, whatever the outcome is, at least you know that I did my best. You deal with the outcome, whatever it is. But yeah, I wish you guys all the best in anything and everything you're doing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, you know the vibes. Stay light and stay safe. Also, it's Light Hustler X. I just claim that I don't introduce myself or I don't say the name enough. So some of you have been butchering somebody called me Little Hustler. Yeah, so it's Light Hustler X, please. Light Hustler X. Thank you.